All right, we're back with the NBA after a day off for Election Day. The NBA is back on Wednesday, and we have got 12 games to pick, and we're going to go through all of them, obviously, in today's video. And we're doing this daily throughout the entire NBA predictions, daily NBA picks, and on top of that, folks, a couple days ago, we posted our first ever college basketball video, and we are doing college basketball daily on the channel as well. So go make sure to check out in a couple hours time, if not shorter, our college basketball best bets every single day. I'll be bringing you the best bets of the day for college basketball. A couple nights ago, we cashed on a plus 350 dog in the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. So make sure to join us every single day for our best bets with college basketball. And also, folks, again, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you have not yet here on the channel. Make sure to leave a like. We had our college football predictions posted yesterday on the channel. We posted our UFC Fight Night Magny versus Prates predictions earlier in the week, and then later today, we will have our NFL predictions. Okay, let's get on now to the full 12-game slate. We start things off here at the Charlotte Hornets hosting the Detroit Pistons. Guys, the Pistons have been a very odd team to pick this season because they keep winning games. They're 3-5. They've won now 3 of 4 games. I kind of used that against the Pistons going into their game with the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, that was more me picking the Lakers because I trust the Lakers and I thought the Lakers were really good. And I still think the Lakers are really good, but man, the Pistons are putting it all together. And we said it too, going into that Lakers game, the Pistons had just played some really tough teams to start the year. Indiana, Cleveland, Miami, Boston. They go on the road, beat Philadelphia. They lose to the Knicks. They go beat a hot Nets team as well, and they go and beat the Los Angeles Lakers. Now they're road dogs against the Charlotte Hornets. We're going to ride the Pistons yet again. Actually, we haven't really rode the Pistons at all this season, but we're taking Detroit to win 4 of 5 here. Guys, the Hornets only win so far this year are the Atlanta Hawks. And the Hawks, again, are coming off a victory over the New Orleans Pelicans. But for Charlotte, again, Mark Williams is injured. Richards is going to be out for a while as well now. And again, this team has only I was thinking a different team that beat the Hawks twice. Excuse me. Charlotte's beat Toronto and Houston. Completely butchered that. But they were 2-2 to start the season. They lost 3 straight games to the Boston Celtics and then to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Obviously, the Boston games are back-to-back, and I get it. They've played good teams, but Detroit's just been playing better basketball. Again, yes, LaMelo Ball has led the charge for the Charlotte Hornets, but Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey put up like 26 in that game against the Lakers, have been playing well for Detroit, and I'm going to be taking the Pistons to win on the road here against the Hornets. I just think they've been playing better football as of late. Give me the Detroit Pistons to go on the road and beat the Charlotte Hornets. Next up, we go to the Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. We've got the Pacers hosting the Orlando Magic. The Pacers are slowly turning into what I thought this team was going to be. Slowly but surely. Tyrese Halliburton averaging 15 points a game now. Again, we got to keep increasing that number, Tyrese. But it's been a group effort for the Indiana Pacers, right? You got Siakam averaging 20 a game. You got Miles Turner averaging 17. Benedict Mathurin averaging 16. And Tyrese Halliburton averaging 15.5. Obviously, Hallie with 8 assists a game as well. And you get Siakam with about 7 rebounds a game. But the Pacers are finally playing like how we expected them to, right? It was a very slow start to the season. They have that game they win on the road against Detroit, but they drop 3 in a row to the Knicks, 76ers, and the Orlando Magic. They go on to beat the Boston Celtics, but then lose to the New Orleans Pelicans, and then beat the Dallas Mavericks in their last game on Monday. A huge win for Indiana, going on the road and winning that game in Dallas by 7 points. Tyrese Halliburton, again, even if he isn't really producing much, scoring the ball, he has put up double-digit assists in every game the Pacers have played, I guess, since that OT loss to the 76ers. So Halliburton's really gotten it going again. Again, we would like to see the scoring kind of develop as well out of Tyrese, but this is the game where the Pacers should be able to roll. They take on the Magic, who, it's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. I came on here at the beginning of the season when the Magic took on the Miami Heat. We picked Orlando in that game, and I said this team was going to be tough to beat this season because of this, the presence of Paolo Banchero and the way he leads this team. They are without a leader right now. No Paolo Banchero, no victories for the Orlando Magic. They are 0-4 without Paolo Banchero. It's hard to win games without your guy who dropped 50 earlier in the season. Wendell Carter will not be playing this game against Indiana, so Mo Wagner enters the starting lineup, one would assume. You got Jalen Suggs, KCP, Tristan Da Silva, the rookie out of Colorado. Yeah, I don't really like Orlando that much right now. Again, until Paolo comes back, we can't consistently pick the Magic, especially against these good teams. Yes, Indiana's a good team. They started off, shaky, but the Pacers I believe in, and I think Indiana's a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference, and I think at the end of the season, the record will reflect that. But give me Indiana to get back to continue their winning ways. I think they'll really just run right through the Magic, a team that, again, has struggled to win games since the Banchero injury and has struggled to compete in games as well. They have not covered in 3 straight games. I'm taking Indiana, again, to send the Magic to 0-4 against the spread in full games played without Paolo Banchero. Next up, we move on to the Atlanta Hawks hosting the New York Knicks. Again, at one point in time, this was somewhat of a rivalry, obviously, in that 2021 postseason with Trae Young on the road at Madison Square Garden. I don't know how much of a rivalry this is, and truly, I don't know how big it is in Atlanta. But we are taking the Atlanta Hawks to cover at home, but we're taking the New York Knicks to win the basketball game. Why we're taking Atlanta to cover? Because the Knicks have not been all that impressive this season. They are 3-3. Again, Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns are doing their thing. Last game in a loss on the road to the Houston Rockets. Jalen Brunson with 29 points, Karl-Anthony Towns with 19 boards. Still wasn't enough for New York to win that game. They lose it 109-97. It's really just been all Jalen Brunson and all Karl-Anthony Towns. This team really hasn't got that much help. Other than that, Mikal Bridges, has been the number 3. But other than Mikal, you get OG Anunoby, you get Josh Hart, Miles McBride. I think the Hawks are able to stay competitive in this game, especially because the game is in Atlanta as well. You look at what the Hawks are able to do. I switched around the Hornets and the Wizards earlier on in this video, talking about how the Hawks lost back-to-back games to a team. It was obviously again the Wizards and not Charlotte. But that was rough for the Hawks. They bounced back, though. They beat the New Orleans Pelicans because, again, we always fade the New Orleans Pelicans, and we're going to get to that later in the video. But they went to New Orleans, won the game by 15 points, and then dropped one after to the Boston Celtics where they lost by 30. That's fine. Again, you're going to lose games to the Boston Celtics. I think the Hawks stay in this one. Again, Trae Young has been playing really well this season. He's taken somewhat of a step back in the last couple games while still averaging 12 assists a game. Give me Atlanta to cover this one, but I will ultimately take the Knicks to win this game. But it's a combination, again, of the Hawks just sticking around at home and as well as the Knicks have just not been able to blow away a team yet. They've stayed competitive in a lot of games, and I think they stay competitive here with the Atlanta Hawks. Give me Atlanta to cover, but give me the Knicks to win. Next up, we go to Boston. We've got the Celtics hosting the Golden State Warriors. Will Steph Curry play? Will he not? I think Curry is playing. Yeah, Curry is playing. I guess, yes, not back-to-back. Obviously, he played their last game, so there's no question in that. Curry returns. That's great. I think the Celtics, though, ultimately will cover the spread. Steph Curry played their last game against the Washington Wizards. That game was close in points. At points in that game. Golden State pulled away at the end. They won the game by 13 points, but I do just think Boston's the way better team. And again, I don't think the Warriors are all that bad. They're 6-1, obviously. Boston's 7-1. This is the game of the day, undoubtedly. But the way Boston has just been able to run through teams this season is concerning if you are picking the Warriors in this game. Only one team, other than that Pacers loss, obviously, but only one team this season has covered this line against Boston, and it's the Detroit Pistons. But in Boston, and again, the Celtics have only played 2 games at home, they've beaten 2. I don't know what you want to make out the Milwaukee Bucks right now, but they beat the Knicks 132-109, and then they beat the Bucks by 11 points as well. They are a tough team to go on the road and beat, and I do think Boston should go out there and beat up on the Warriors here. Again, I get it. Steph Curry's back. He is at full health again. Buddy Hield has been shooting lights out as well. That's fine. But give me the Boston Celtics to go out here and win this basketball game and to cover the spread as well. They just have more talent, obviously. Again, Jason Tatum, we say it every day. But Jason Tatum is fulfilling the role he needs to fulfill for this Celtics team. Again, we've been waiting for Jason Tatum for years to develop into a superstar that the league and that the Celtics are trying to tell everyone that he is. And again, obviously winning an NBA championship last season will do that. And now, obviously, what Tatum has been doing this season has been nothing short of phenomenal. Tatum's been putting up, he's been giving the Celtics 28 pretty much every single night. He averages 30 on the season. He leads their team in points, rebounds, and assists. Jason Tatum's doing it all. Obviously, you can add Derek White to that equation, add Jaylen Brown to that equation as well. And I think the Celtics have a pretty solid team. Again, their one loss this season is on the road to a very tough Indiana Pacers team that I will speak at lengths about how good that Indiana team is. I'm fine with the Boston Celtics rolling right through the Warriors in this game. Again, the Warriors have looked good this season. They're 6-1, but look at their strength of schedule, guys. I'm serious. Portland, Utah, Clippers, Pelicans, Rockets, Wizards. They haven't played elite teams yet, and now here's your test. Because look at their next 4 games. Boston, Cleveland, in OKC, Dallas. That's one hell of a stretch. We are going to find out what the Warriors are made of. And now, again, there's no excuse because Curry's playing. We're going to find out how good the Warriors are. Again, they're 6-1. We'll see where they are come next Tuesday after that Mavericks game. Okay? Then that's when we'll see how good the Warriors are. They have a tough and a brutal 4-game stretch. But we think Boston starts it off the wrong way by covering those 7.5 points and or straight up winning the basketball game as well. Next up, we go to Houston. I swear, these two teams have already played like 3 times this season. Actually, they have played twice. Why are the Rockets and Spurs playing again? I don't get it. I don't understand it. We will take the home favorites. We're taking the Houston Rockets. I get it. The Spurs are injured, obviously. No Devin Vassell, no Trey Jones. Jeremy Sochan is out. I get it. I still think they cover the 6.5. These two teams have played twice this season. And again, the games have been decided by 5 points or less. And now it's the 3rd time they have played. I get it. They played back-to-back in San Antonio. Now this one obviously is in Houston. But we look at both those games. Again, the first one, October 26th, San Antonio wins it 109-106. And then you look at the second game on Monday, 106-101, a victory for the Houston Rockets. Victor Wembanyama with 20 rebounds in that game. And a loss, obviously. But both those games were competitive. So regardless, honestly, of who the dog is, if this was Houston, I'd be taking Houston on the same line as well. I just don't think either of these teams are 6.5 points better than each other. I just don't think they are. Again, the Rockets guys are going to fall off a cliff eventually. This is not that good of a team. They're 4-3. You saw the Warriors in their last game without Steph Curry absolutely dominate the Houston Rockets. Again, I know the Rockets came back and they made it close and they sent it to overtime. Obviously, the Warriors prevailed in that one. But I think the Rockets have to come back to earth eventually. Okay? I know they beat the Mavs early in the season on the road on Halloween. This team will fall back down to earth, and you're going to see truly where the Rockets are at. I'm not hating. I'm not. But I still am not sold on the squad. I get it. They've got pieces. Jalen Green. Jabari Smith. Eason's been playing well off the bench. Alfred Sengun, obviously one of the better centers in the league. I understand that. I'm still not sold on Houston. If they can beat OKC, this is my test for every team. Because again, the Oklahoma City Thunder are the best team in basketball. I will continue to say that all year long. When they play OKC on Friday, if they can stay in that game and become the first team to cover all season long against the Thunder, then I will treat them as a serious contender. Not a contender, but a serious team in the Western Conference. Until now, yeah, we're picking the Spurs to cover just because, again, 6.5 is too much. I ultimately do think the Rockets win this game with it being in Houston and because the way those first 2 games were competitive in San Antonio. Next up, we go to the FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee. We've got the Los Angeles Lakers and the Memphis Grizzlies. Obviously, a rematch of the first round of the playoffs back in 2022. Obviously, that was won by the Lakers. But you've got the 4-4 Grizzlies taking on the 4-3 LA Lakers. And man, the Lakers. I said it at the beginning of the season. When we made our opening night predictions when the Lakers were taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, I took the Lakers in that game. And I have taken the Lakers in every single game they have played this season. And we're doing it again. They finally go back home soon, guys. It's been a long road trip for the Lakers. They finally come back home on Friday against the Philadelphia 76ers. However, I said at the beginning of the season after we picked the Lakers to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves on opening night, I said, this is going to be a roller coaster. That's just what the Los Angeles Lakers are. Now, I think they're better, obviously, with JJ Redick and not Darvin Ham. I think they play a lot better. They look a lot better. And Anthony Davis, again, is establishing himself as the best player in the NBA and a guy who should win the most valuable player award this season. But it's going to be a roller coaster with the Lakers. I mean, they lose to the Detroit Pistons in their last game. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I got nothing else to say about that, right? I mean, Anthony Davis is averaging 32 points a game so far this season. LeBron's averaging 22, 7, and 8. Good numbers, don't get me wrong. AD's averaging, again, 33 and 12. The guy's an absolute monster. And I don't think they should struggle here at the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't think they should. I don't see it. I get it there. I get the Lakers are on the road. The Memphis Grizzlies are still without Marcus Smart. No Desmond Bane. No Luke Kennard off the bench. No Vince Williams still. This is a very injured team. It is a very injured team that I think is going to struggle against the Lakers. I understand the Lakers just lost to the Pistons. No way they put up back-to-back stinkers, though. Again, this is their final game on the road trip before they finally get to go back home to Los Angeles, where they take on the Sixers. They get the Grizzlies at the tail end of that home stretch, but they get the Sixers, Raptors, and then again the aforementioned Grizzlies. It's the end of the road trip. I think they are able to get one out here. I actually really like this pick. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Against an injured Grizzlies team on paper, the Lakers just match up better. They just do. The Lakers are the better team. They are the underdogs, minus 105. This is my favorite play in the NBA today. Give me the Los Angeles Lakers to go on the road to Memphis and beat the Grizzlies. No way the Lakers put up back-to-back stinkers on the road. They got to find a way to get some help for LeBron James and Anthony Davis. The bench unit for the Lakers has been absolutely atrocious this year. They need someone to step up. I don't care who it is. Hell, D'Angelo Russell, do it in the starting lineup, man. Someone needs to step up for the Lakers. We'll see if we get that production, but I'm taking the Lakers to go on the road and beat the Memphis Grizzlies. Next up, we go to New Orleans, Louisiana. We've got the Pelicans taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. If you've been watching the daily NBA predictions, guys, you know the rule. We do not pick the New Orleans Pelicans. We fade the Pelicans. And if you watch the college football predictions as well, we have a rule. We fade the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs as well. Nothing against the state of Louisiana, but we are fading the Pelicans. I am not picking this team, and my algorithm with the Pelicans has worked recently. Okay? The last time I ever took the New Orleans Pelicans was when I trusted them in back-to-back games against both the Portland Trail Blazers and the Golden State Warriors. After that, I said I was done, and of course, I picked the Pacers to beat them, and the Pacers lost. Okay? Whatever. Since then, we have faded the Pelicans twice. They lose against the Hawks. They lose against the Trailblazers. Guys, this is not a good basketball team. They will have guys who will step up. Brandon Ingram will have big nights. Zion Williamson will have big nights. CJ McCollum has just one big night in every 10 games. But again, the Pelicans don't look great. And on top of that, who are they playing? Yeah, they're playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are 8-0, who look like the best team in basketball right now. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, these guys are balling. Obviously, again, watch Donovan Mitchell's game winner on Saturday night over in Milwaukee. They play the Bucks again. They beat them by 2. Again, they find ways to win. Cleveland has played some tough teams this season as well. The Knicks, the Lakers, the Magic. I get it was without Paolo, but still in back-to-back games against the Bucks. And I get it, the Bucks' record doesn't really dictate how good they are. I think they're going to figure it out. And obviously, I would expect Milwaukee to be in the playoffs at the end of the season. But Cleveland's playing lights out this year, man. The Cavs are playing real well. Again, Donovan Mitchell has been going insane. Darius Garland's, facilitating the offense real well as well. And I would expect Cleveland to go on the road here and beat the Pelicans. I am not sold on the Pelicans. I will continue to not be sold on the Pelicans. Give me Cleveland to cover the 7.5 on the road and win the game as well. Next up, we go to Dallas. We've got the Dallas Mavericks taking on the Chicago Bulls. Dallas is getting 10.5 points at home in this game, and actually we're going to be taking the Bulls to go out here and cover. Now, again, I know the Bulls just played horribly in their last game. They were the team that finally lost to the Utah Jazz. Again, Utah looking for their first victory. I liked Chicago to win that game at home, and yeah, Utah went on the road and won it. And this is bad because I've been speaking about how much I, like the Bulls this season, how much I trust in the Chicago Bulls this season, and they do that to us. I can say, Lonzo Ball injury. Obviously, that's not the reason why I'm high on the Bulls. Even though I really like Lonzo, I do. Trust me, I have a Lonzo Ball Bulls jersey. I'll wear it someday on the channel. And now they got to play the Mavs. Now, I am going to take the Bulls to cover the 10.5 points because the Mavericks do just have their games where they let teams hang around. And that's happened a lot this season. I know, again, first game of the season against the Spurs, they let the Spurs hang around. They ended up winning the game by 11 points. But still, that's within the margin of error, and that's within reach, obviously, for Chicago to cover the 10.5 points. Utah, they beat by 8 points. Minnesota, they beat by 6 points. Lost the Rockets, lost the Suns, lost the Pacers. The only game this season where they've definitively blown a team out was that game a couple days ago against the Orlando Magic. Again, a Magic team that is without their star player and still struggling to find their identity without their best player on the court. I think the Bulls are able to stay in this basketball game. I don't think they win, but I feel like 10.5 is too much. Okay? You look at the losses this season for Chicago, same thing applies. They really haven't been run out the building all season long with the exception of one outlier. And I get it. Maybe we're getting a little bit too analytical with the play here, but hear me out. Utah, they lose by 9. Brooklyn, they lose by 8. Orlando, they win by 3. Memphis, they beat by 3. OKC, they get blown out. They beat Milwaukee. They lose by 12 to New Orleans. They stay in all of these games. The Bulls find ways to stay competitive in games, and it's big credit to the scoring efforts out of Levine, Kobe White, the passing out of Josh Giddey. the work on the glass that Nikola Vucevic is able to put out there as well, I think Chicago stays in this game. I don't think they beat the Mavericks, but again, looking at where both these teams have played, where and how both these teams have played so far this season, again, Chicago's been able to hang around, and the Mavericks kind of just let teams hang around when they win. Give me the Bulls to cover the 10.5 points, but yes, obviously, give me the Mavericks to win the game. Next up, we go on to Denver. We've got the Denver Nuggets hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder, and guys, you know how I feel about the Oklahoma City Thunder. You do. 7-0, I said it at the beginning of the season, this might be the best team in basketball. This is the best team in basketball. The Nuggets tomorrow walk into that game with no Jamal Murray, no Aaron Gordon. You know what that means? No victory. What is the starting lineup today looking like for the Denver Nuggets? It's going to be Russell Westbrook, Christian Brown, Michael Porter Jr., Peyton Watson, and Nikola Jokic. That's not a winning basketball team. And who are they playing? The Oklahoma City Thunder. But bookmark the Thunder. Guys, the Nuggets have played competitive game after competitive game after competitive game with, I don't want to say bad, but bad teams. I'm just going to say it. 2-point win over the Raptors. 5-point win over the Nets, who are overachieving right now. 2-point win over the Raptors. We've seen this game earlier in the season, same location, back in Denver. Everyone was at full strength. Who won? OKC went into Denver and won the game by 15 points. And you take away, and again, Jokic had no help that game. Literally nobody else was able to score. Nobody else was able to produce for their own shot. Nobody else did anything in that game for Denver. But now you give them an even more depleted surrounding cast in this game. No Aaron Gordon, no Jamal Murray. This is brutal. I'm serious. This is brutal for the Nuggets. Give me OKC all day long. Again, I will rave about this team every single day, but they're just that good. They just are. Big win last game against the Orlando Magic. This team's going to go to 8-0. I'll make the case they're going to run it up. Hey, looking at their schedule, there's a legitimate chance this team starts 15-0. I'm serious. I'm that big on the Thunder this season. This is the best team in basketball, and they're the most consistent team in basketball as well. Give me OKC to go into Denver, and they will absolutely dominate the Nuggets. This game will be over in the third quarter. Next up, we go on to Phoenix, Arizona, as we've got the Phoenix Suns taking on the Miami Heat. I think the Heat are close enough, at least in skill, to the Phoenix Suns, and that's why they will cover the 5.5 points. But ultimately, we are siding with Phoenix to straight up win the game. Phoenix just has too many big-time players and too many skillful guys, at least offensively, to not win this basketball game. Again, it just depends on which night it is. Is it a Durant night? Is it a D-Book night? Again, you know both these guys are going to get their shots, and both these guys are going to put up their numbers. But who's going to be the one that's going to take that first shot? Again, last game against the Sixers, it was Kevin Durant. You know what, again, Nurkic is going to bring to you. Nurkic has been playing a really good center so far this season as well. And the Suns are 7-1. Their only loss being the second game of the season, obviously, to the Los Angeles Lakers. For the Miami Heat, this is a team that is 3-3. They're coming off of that heartbreaking loss where they lost by 1 point at home against the Sacramento Kings. Still not sold on Miami. I said it going into the Kings game, and I will say it again. They haven't beat a good team yet. They beat Charlotte, they beat Detroit, they beat Washington. I get it. Oh, the Detroit Pistons beat the Lakers. Well, when push comes to shove and the end of the season comes around, the Detroit Pistons are not going to be looked at as one of the best teams in the NBA. And if they are, I'm wrong, okay? I will admit that I am wrong later in the season. But right now, I'm still not willing to say that the Pistons is a quality win. So the Heat, after that Kings loss, still don't have a quality win. Phoenix is the much better team. You look at the way this team's able to shoot. You look at their high-powered offense. You see the way that they're able to, just get buckets. I like Phoenix a lot more than I do Miami. The Heat have their games where they struggle to score. They do. And again, for Miami, it's just like sometimes it's Tyler Hero going off. Is it Adebayo? Is it Jimmy Butler? Is it Rozier? You don't have a reliable number one. And again, I know for years that has been Jimmy Butler on the Miami Heat. Right now in the big 2024, I don't know if we can rely on Jimmy Butler to be that consistent scorer every single night for Miami. I just don't know. Again, people forget, Jimmy is getting up there in age at this point. Give me Phoenix to win this game. I do think Miami covers the 5.5. Don't get me wrong. They're one of those teams that, again, just stay competitive with everybody. They play decent defense. And again, the Suns find themselves trailing in a lot of games and just trying to claw their way back into them as well. And on top of that, if they are going to the fourth quarter with the lead and they're not clawing back in the game, the Suns historically at least with this big three, has played a very bad fourth quarter. So give me Miami to cover the 5.5, but we are taking the Phoenix Suns to outright win the game. Next up, we go on to the Intuit Dome. We've got the Los Angeles Clippers. They will be hosting the Philadelphia 76ers. I completely messed up the graphic. I don't know why the San Antonio Spurs are here, guys. That's my fault because they just played, so I butchered that. I deeply apologize, Philadelphia. I really do. And I'm going to apologize even more because we're taking the Los Angeles Clippers to beat Paul George and the Sixers in PG's return to Los Angeles. So there's actual storyline around this game, obviously, and of course I messed it up by putting the San Antonio Spurs logo on there instead of the Philadelphia 76ers, but bear with me here, okay? There's storyline. Again, Paul George makes his debut as a Philadelphia 76er, and he will do it against a team, not in the same arena, because again, they switched arenas, they built a new one, but he will make his second ever start for the Philadelphia 76ers on the road against the Los Angeles Clippers. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. It is. They apparently have a tribute video to Paul George. Now, I don't know what the tribute's going to be. I don't know if, and I don't think Clippers fans are too enthused about Paul George, considering, okay, the trade that, they ended up getting Paul George with originally. They lost Shea, they lost 1 million picks, they got scammed. But, shout out to Paul George. PG gave it his all, I guess. Playoff P gave it his all for this Clippers franchise. And now he returns with the 76ers, who are 1-5, with their only victory being on the road to the Indiana Pacers in overtime. Their losses are the Bucks, the Sixers, the Pistons, the Grizzlies, and the Suns. The Clippers finally got their first win. Again, that's why I confused the graphic. They finally got their first win in the Intuit Dome. They beat the San Antonio Spurs, and they got the job done by 9 points. Again, good on the Clippers. I'm glad they finally got that out the way. They were down big early in that game, but they came back and they ended up winning it. Again, they were 0-4 in the Dome prior to that point against the Suns, Blazers, and OKC Thunder. They finally get one, and it's been off of the heels of Norman Powell just shooting absolutely lights out for this Los Angeles Clippers team. He's averaging 25 points a game so far this season. Again, Harden's averaging 21. Zubac with 17.5 as well. But man, Norman Powell has been a bright spot for this Clippers team, and I do think the Clippers are able to win this game. Again, these guys are going to be extra motivated to win this one, again, because they're former teammates on the court and Paul George. And again, they finally just came off their first victory in their new arena. James Harden's been playing pretty well. He's been a great facilitator for this Clippers team, and I do like the Clippers as a whole better than Philadelphia. Don't forget, again, the Sixers guys only have one win this season, and it was a weird matinee game against the Pacers, and Maxey had to put up 45 in that victory. Again, until Joel Embiid comes back, and now Embiid's been suspended 3 games, until Joel comes back, I can't trust Philadelphia. They get the Lakers next in a couple nights, and I don't feel too great about that one either. Give me the Clippers to win, and they will cover, obviously, the 1.5 points as well. As we go on to our last one, it is the nightcap. We go to Sacramento, California, where the Kings are taking on the Toronto Raptors. We just saw this game recently up in Toronto, and the Raptors won it by 3 points. Do we think this game being in Sacramento, and it's the second time the Kings are seeing the Raptors, do we think that results in a 14-point swing the other way to dictate the Kings being 10.5-point favorites? My answer to that question is no. The Raptors will stay competitive in this game. And I get it. The Raptors have 1 million injuries, right? Well, hell, they were still able to remain competitive with the Kings in that first game with all the injuries that they have. They have guys who find ways to score. Again, no Scotty Barnes, no Emmanuel Quickley, no problem. Grady Dick's putting up 22 points. You've got RJ Barrett with 31 points as well. You have guys who are able to step up for this Raptors team, and it's something I wasn't really honestly familiar with prior to this season. I didn't really think, again, Toronto was going to be able to step up when their all-star and Scotty Barnes was out, because we saw it last season. This team fell off a cliff when Scotty Barnes went down with injury. Obviously that Kings-Raptors game was the whole, Drake-DeMar DeRozan beef. Now that there is one, I guess. I don't know. Drake's going to climb up the Raptors himself and take down the DeMar DeRozan banner if the Raptors ever put one up. That it is what it is. But I do think this is a competitive game. I think there is some juice on this one now, believe it or not, because of Drake's comments. And not like the Raptors are here to defend Drake's pride or whatnot. But again, DeMar is going to be, invested in this game because of what Drake said, because of what, the guy, what Drake said to a guy who spent years playing for Toronto. But at the same time, I think the Raptors come out firing in this game. And Toronto, again, besides the whole beef thing or whatever, besides the whole Drake-DeMar DeRozan one-sided beef, the Raptors play everybody tough. Guys, again, like we said earlier, with the exception of one game, which was the start of the season, the first game of the year where they lost by 30 points to the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Raptors have only played competitive games. 2-point loss to the Nuggets, a 3-point win over the Kings, a 6-point loss to the Lakers, 5-point loss to the Hornets, 2-point loss in overtime to the Nuggets, and an 8-point win over the 76ers, and an 11-point loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves as well. But still, these are all close games. I don't think the Kings are the one to crack the code and just completely blow Toronto out the water. I think the Raptors stay in this basketball game, but ultimately, again, we are taking the Sacramento Kings to win, but 10.5 just feels like too much. Give me the Toronto Raptors to cover the 10.5 points, but we're taking the Sacramento Kings to win the game outright. So, folks, thank you all for watching our daily NBA predictions here on the channel. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure you like if you enjoyed the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back later today in about an hour time for our daily college basketball best bets, along with our NFL predictions for week number 10 coming out later on the channel today. And make sure to join us again for tomorrow's daily NBA predictions as well. Folks, thank you all for watching. Make sure that subscribe button down below for more. And Mamba forever.